This is beautiful.
Yeah, crazy. It's crazy. It looks like it's a painting or something in the distance. You know, it looks like a scene from a movie.
Yeah, it feels like it is a painting.
Maybe we do a focused meditation where we work our way through the chakras. And we do a couple of breaths in each chakra. So I'll walk you through it.
Sounds good.
So we start, the first chakra is at the base of the spine, and the color is red. So imagine the red color at the base of your spine, and take a few breaths into the base of your spine and light up the red color. You can almost feel like the red grows with each breath. And then the second chakra is orange, and it's just below the belly button. You can breathe into that one. The next one is yellow. It's the solar plexus below the rib cage. Breathe into that one. See the yellow expanding. Next one is green, and it's the heart. And imagine the heart green color expanding. And then we move up to the throat, which is blue. Imagine breathing into the blue. And then the third eye is purple. Imagine breathing in through your third eye and seeing the purple expand. And then the seventh chakra is the crown of the head. And it's either white or golden light. I like to think of it just as light, the color of light. So it could be golden light, it could be white light, but light. And breathe in and expand the light around the crown chakra. And rest in the line of the colors of the chakra. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and then light. So good.
I feel great.
We're here.
Veraz. And we're in Tuscany, my first time in Italy. We're here for the summer solstice, the different, rhythms of the universe. Can you speak on like what that means to you? What's the importance of that?
It's the summer solstice is the longest day of the year. The longest. It's light the longest. It happens to be a full moon this year, which just has a lot of energy. And there's a history of summer solstice celebrations for millennia. And we thought if we were going to have a party, great time to do it would be at a time when it's happened over thousands of years in an ancient place like this.
Festival of the Sun.
Festival of the Sun.
It's amazing. Funny story about, what are these type of water bottles called?
I don't know.
The first time that I ever came over to your house was the first time I ever had to navigate one of those things. You taught me how to open it. And last week I was trying to open it, and I was like, oh, Rick taught me how to do it.
They're often used for olive oil bottles, I think, this style of bottle.
So we're just kind of, I guess, going to have a free flow conversation. We're here with MONTREALITY, who is, as you heard earlier, an independent media company based out of Montreal. And I did an interview with them maybe 2017. And it's kind of became like a rite of passage within the music world and like internet culture and underground music. And the special thing about MONTREALITY is the direction of the questions. You're asking people who've never opened up about, love and heartbreak or, spirituality, who find themselves having this outpour. So I think it's a really cool platform for that. And, when they reached out and said that they wanted to do a conversation between you and I was like, it would be really cool if we documented one of these, because, we've had some pretty cool conversations over the years, and
Absolutely.
It just felt right. So here we are.
Ooh,
And we're in the perfect place to do it. We're talking about, summer solstice and the different rhythms of the universe and such. What to you, and this doesn't have to be, universe related or nature related, but when you hear the word the source, what's the source mean to you?
The source is the organizing principle of everything that we experience. So why does the grass grow? Why are the trees here? Why are we here? Why is everything here? And going back to the origination of everything, I call the source. It's like a universal wisdom, let's say. A generative force might be a better way to say it.
Speaking of wisdom, I think as we go through our lives, we become more wise, but we also are in a constant battle trying to channel our inner child. How do you think we remain in touch with that through getting older, going through things, and, developing wisdom through life?
I think any practice that keeps you connected, keeps you grounded and rooted to what's happening, and paying attention to the beauty of the world around you is really good. Like, instead of being inside, going outside, going for a walk, and paying attention to the majesty of nature seems to be a really good thing to remind us of our place in the world. Different than, looking at a screen. It's just a different experience.
I think the interesting thing about nature is that it can be so powerful, and we can utilize it through our art, through our love, through anything and everything.
Yeah.
Listening to it and seeing it is a very specific approach to your art. And I think that there's a way to do it, but it can't really be communicated. Can you speak on maybe a moment where you felt nature inspire something that you created? Maybe it could be the creative act, maybe it could be an album, maybe it could be a particular song, even a conversation where nature really inspired you.
Yeah, I think it happens all the time. Like, as you were talking, I heard the bird chirping. There's another sound of like I think it's birds making this like, I don't know what you call it. Like hear that? What would you call that sound?
I don't know. It's something beautiful though.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful sound. And then a bee flew past me, and I heard the buzz of the bee, and it places me here. It's like I'm not in my head. I'm here, and it's like everything's a reminder to be alive, to pay attention. It's now. It's not. I'm not in the future. I'm not in the past. I'm here with you now, and it feels good. You know, happens where a bird flies into the room while you're working on something, and a lyric changes because of it, or whatever. These things happen.
Yeah.
Or you're planning on doing something one way, and then a weather condition or somebody not making it to the studio changes the plan, and something new happens and unexpected, and something cool comes out of that.
It's funny you say that because I think, I want to say it was like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. I was going through just like a rough patch in life, and whenever I'm going through something, I'll call my mom, and sometimes she'll be like, you should talk to Rick. You should go see Rick. And I was going through something, and my mom was like, you should see Rick. You should really see Rick. And I was going to reach out to you, but I didn't happen to that day. And a friend of mine asked if I wanted to go surfing. I'd never been surfing before. And I was like, I'll do it. Like anything to get my mind off of just the chaos, right? And went to the beach, you know, parked in Malibu, and we're walking on to the beach towards the ocean. And I'm looking at the sand, and as I look up, I see you walking by me.
And there was nobody on the beach.
There was no one there that day.
No.
Had I took a left turn, had we not stopped to get coffee on the way there, 15 seconds earlier, 15 seconds later, and we wouldn't have crossed paths.
Yeah, I remember the day, and I remember that there was no one on the beach. There was no one else in the water but you guys.
Yeah.
Meant to be.
And then we just had, yeah, exactly. We had the most beautiful conversation, and that, you know, conversation, and then going in the water and being completely disconnected from everything else, the idea of nature and a good conversation and what it can do for you is really, you know, it's powerful. And
Did you like the surfing experience?
I loved it. I couldn't get up completely, but I went back a few times. I've gotten a little
just
bit better.
being in the water.
Yeah, no, being
Sitting on the board.
completely disconnected from everything.
Yeah.
Followed, you know, by us having that conversation right before, it was I mean, it was incredible in a moment that I'll never forget. And there's just a few moments like that, and it's important to recognize the signs, I think, and recognize that anything and everything that's happening around us is happening for a reason. And sometimes, you know, I get so overwhelmed with work, or, you know, wanting to be in control of everything, and sometimes I just have to let go. And as of late, I've just realized that, you know, I think gratitude is the most important thing for me, and intention and inventory are very important. You know, having intention for your actions and what you're trying to create with art, love, whatever it may be, and then being able to take inventory of all of the things in your life, good or bad, I think allows for a good, like, inner dialogue with yourself. So, I don't know, I think moments like that help me learn, and being able to, like, learn from you has been really special for me, because as I go through things, knowing that there's someone I can look up to that has created a world of peace for himself, and letting that have a beautiful marriage with the art form is really special. And I think, you know, people like you allow others to just explore the world with spirituality and you know, a journey in search for peace. So I thank you for that.
Cool. I find that with the artists that I talk to, often the thing that is the biggest block getting in their way is just their own self-talk. You know, either insecurity, I'm not good enough, or ego, everything I do is great, so I don't have to work on it. You know, there are always different variations of it, but in the actual doing of the work and being neutral and just seeing what it is and enjoying it, and then being able to come back to it and it's like, do I still enjoy it? Oh, I still enjoy it. If you come back the next day and you still like it, it's a good sign. If you put it away for a while and come back a month later and you still like it, that's a great sign. And as soon as you feel good about playing it for your friends, like many artists want to play your music for their friends, but they say it's, you know, it's not ready for anybody else. If you're ready to play for your friends, it's probably ready for everybody.
All right.
You know, if you like it enough to play it for someone you know and like,
Yeah.
it's worth putting it out into the world. Because some artists, you know, make things and it never comes out. There's always like this looking for perfection that never really comes. Nice.
All right, what's that make it?
2, 3.
Yeah. It's kind of nice.
Beautiful.
One thing I've always wanted to ask you.
Wasn't expecting that.
I wasn't either. This one seems like it's being done by hand.
Think.
Yeah.
8.
Man. Beautiful.
Got a little concert.
Yeah, there we are. That was nice. A nice little interlude. And one thing I've always wanted to ask you about is love and how love inspires you and how you think love can bring power to people.
Love is what we're always on the hunt for. And when I say that, it's in art. When we're making something, it's a search for love. Anything we make. And that feeling of falling in love with something happens when if you've fallen in love in your life, it usually happens in an unexpected way. It's not like, today I'm gonna fall in love, and you go make it happen. It doesn't happen that way. It's you're surprised by love. And we experience that when we're making things all the time. Like we're toiling away on this thing we think we're making, and then all of a sudden love shows up in a different way. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it turns into something different. It's rare that it's premeditated.
Yeah.
I don't know that it can be really, and be love.
Right.
You know, it could be something else, but the love, there's some aspect of taking you by surprise.
Absolutely. I think the idea of love is it kind of breaks all structure and things can morph and grow into something that you never expected through love. It's like you kind of have to take your hands off the steering wheel when it hits you and just follow the feeling. It's funny because, like you said, we can fall in love with art, we can fall in love with a person, we can fall in love with a song, a film, we can fall in love with so many different things. And I am currently falling in love. And I reached out to my mom, and I was like,
With a song, with a
person.
with a human.
Yeah, with
Okay.
the person. She's an amazing woman, and quite terrified, you know, the idea of falling in love. And I called my mom, and I said, you know, like, I feel like I'm not in control. I feel vulnerable. I feel all these things. And I was like, I don't really like it, and it's scary. And she told me, this is one of the best pieces of advice I've ever received. She said, I want you to take some time today, 5-10 minutes, and research the word fear. Top to bottom, front to back, really understand, you know, the base of the word fear. And then she's like, I want you to take everything you learned in those 5 to 10 minutes and then completely disregard it. And she's like, just have fun. You know, life is short. The more we try to control things that we're not supposed to be in control of, we can only lose, you know? So I've taken that with me, and I've applied it to any moment in life where I feel like love is in play. You know, whether it's a project I'm working on, you know, a beautiful relationship with someone, I just let it be what it's supposed to be. And I think that's one of the most important things we can do in life, is knowing when to kind of just let go.
Yeah. There's a book called A Course in Miracles, and the book is about there only being two things in the world, love and fear doesn't really exist. So all there really is love. Fear is like a false indicator in some way. If you feel it, it means you're not connecting to the love that's really there in place of that fear. Pretty interesting, interesting book, worth checking out.
I need to read it.
There's a workbook that has 365 lessons, and you do one lesson every morning, and then you repeat the lesson through the day, and it's pretty interesting.
Hearing you talk, every interview I watch, every conversation we have, I'm just blown away and taken back by the space in which your mind sits at, and it seems to always be in a peaceful place. Stress. I want to talk about the idea of stress. You know, one thing I always try to live by, but it's not easy to, is the fact that stress is not a requirement, and trying to release myself from the idea of the fact that it even exists, much like fear. How do you handle stress when you're faced with it?
It's stress is suffering, and there's a whole Buddhist concept about suffering, which is there is suffering, but you don't have to suffer. There's pain, and there really is pain, but the suffering part of it is something, you can have pain, but you don't have to suffer. You can accept. In acceptance, usually the how do I say it? Usually the suffering comes from some feeling that something's supposed to be different than the way it is. And if you accept the way it is, then there's no suffering. And you can't change what is. You can change how you deal with what is, but what is what is. It'd be like in your new relationship, if your partner has a bad habit, you don't have control over that, and that can bring you suffering. Or you can accept the fact that you have no control over that, and then decide whether or not it's something that on balance you can accept or not.
Yeah, it's kind of all a decision.
Yeah. I tell you a story about that, being a decision. I was in Hawaii, it's probably seven or 8 years ago, sleeping. There are these centipedes that bite you, and if they bite you, it really hurts bad. It's kind of like a sting from a jellyfish. It doesn't kill you, but it really hurts, and it hurts for a long time. And I knew that they existed. I've been going to Hawaii for many, many years. I've never experienced a bite of a centipede. I was sleeping one night, and I brush my head. I'm like itchy, and I brush my head, and I feel incredible pain, like a sting. And I wake my wife up, or I mean, she wakes up pretty quickly because I'm moving around. And I say, I think I was just stung by a centipede, and I have two choices. I can panic, which is what I've been programmed to do my whole life. Or I can just decide, okay, it's okay. And she said, maybe the second one's better. I said, okay, I'll do that. But I know, had it happened to me when I was 19 years old, absolutely would have panicked. If it happened to me when I was 25 years old, absolutely would have panicked. But now I'm at a point where I can step back enough to see I can choose. And nothing is different in what happened. Same exact thing happened. And it already happened, I already got stung. So the idea of panicking, or like, you know, my house burned down with everything in it, I could, you know, have a fit and cry and be upset, or I can accept the fact this is what happened. Nothing I'm gonna do is gonna change that situation.
Right.
So it seems like there's a lot less pain involved if nothing's gonna change. Do you know what I'm saying? If I can't change the situation, to put a lot of energy into not changing it and making me feel bad seems like that doesn't seem like a good choice.
Yeah.
And I think just knowing we can choose, we can decide in the moment, and to, in some ways, to remove ourselves. Something I talk about in the book is when something bad happens, you can imagine like it's happening in a movie and think, okay, how is our hero going to get out of this one? You know, because there's always another scene. You know, the movie goes on after the tragedy. There's always more happens. And often, and I've again just learned this from living a long time, that over the course of my life, when something that seems terrible happens, almost every time, maybe every single time, what happens in the wake of it is better than what was there. Almost every time, maybe every time. I never really examined if it was every single time, but it feels like every time.
Yeah, nothing really is that serious ever. And
No, it's cool. Let's see what happens next.
that's what I was speaking on and taking inventory earlier, is like, we always find ourselves, you know, maybe hyper-focusing on things that we don't need to. And then when you stop, you take inventory of, you know, it doesn't need to be specific to anything, you know, just some of the simple things in life, you know, the fact that, you know, you woke up today, or the fact that your mom had a nice day, or the fact that you just saw your nephew, or whatever it may be. It kind of helps you restructure your day, but we're not able to do that unless we pause. And I think that's something I find myself in this, you know, day-to-day battle with, is like pausing versus just like always trying to push through and just continue navigating through, I don't know, whatever that day may bring.
Yeah, I think the breaks really help, like taking time away and clearing your head and coming back with a fresh mindset really allows much more forward motion than trying to power through. I didn't know that always. I used to work very long hours and, you know, drive home from the studio when the sun was coming up, and it didn't make it better. You know, it just means I spent more time in the studio, but it didn't make it better. And now to work to where it feels good, and then leave it alone, and then come back with fresh ears, and to know, to pay attention to myself enough to know, am I at my best to be able to best know what's happening in the work? You know, I know if I've been listening to something for, let's say, 5 hours, after 5 hours, I don't know that I have very good judgment about it. So I'll step away. And knowing when let's let this sit for a little while. Or let's work on something else. I'm not saying you can't keep working. I'm saying avoid going past the point of where you lose perspective. And it happens so easy, very easily.
100%.
You start getting lost in details that no one else even noticed, but you're missing whether the piece is working because you're focused on this one moment.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think when you put yourself too far into a project and it becomes your entire life,
Yeah.
you can sometimes find yourself on the brink of insanity because
Yeah.
you're so, it becomes a part of you to a point that can be dangerous.
Absolutely. And you lose perspective, and it's not the way other people are if you're making it for someone else to see, they're not gonna have that experience. So you'll be the only one who has that obsessive experience with the thing, and it's not a reasonable judgment of it.
Yeah. I'm having the best time ever.
Great,
I'm so happy.
great. Tell me about how you first came in contact with hip-hop music.
First came in contact with hip hop music from my older sister.
How much older is she?
She's 7 years older than I am, and she showed me 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying. She had the CD, but she wouldn't let me borrow the CD. So she's like, Mom has to take you to go get it for yourself. And I went and I got Get Rich or Die Trying, the clean version, time, and I would just listen to it. I would have like my little Walkman with the headphones on, and I would sleep to Get Rich or Die Trying, and I'd wake up listening to Get Rich or Die Trying. It was just on repeat. And I don't know, something about rap music was always so compelling to me, especially being right outside Chicago and looking in and, growing up and having the Kanyes of the world and then the Chief Keefs at the same time that you have a Chance the Rapper and everything in between. And it was just, I'd say rap music was like my first love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when did you first start meeting the artists?
As I got into high school, I started going to any show that I could, and I would bring my camera, and I would just record whatever. I would shoot interviews outside of, in alleyways with artists as they're walking out of a show. I would shoot recaps of shows. I really was so in love with just everything going on that I wanted to capture it from every which perspective.
Did you film other things before hip hop?
And I fell in love with film and just like media through a multimedia class I took in high school. So I would do we'd make like little skits and stuff. And then I was just like, how do I bring these two worlds together? So I had one of my friends make a song on GarageBand so I could practice making a music video.
Cool.
And that's how it started. And it was just, it was trying to find a way to capture things with very minimal resources. And
which is a very hip hop thing to do. It's like all the hip hop starts with this idea of like creating something from nothing.
Yeah, that's what I always try to tell people, is to utilize anything and everything. I think that's the beautiful thing about the internet right now. We're seeing a lot of people repurpose existing content and finding
sampling.
Yeah,
it's all sampling. Concept. Yeah,
same concept.
Yeah, and it goes back even before sampling, when a band would hear another band, and then you start by like copying the other band, but then you kind of find your sound. But it doesn't start, you don't start with your own sound usually. You usually start by kind of imitating the things you like, and you learn that way. And then think, well, if I do it this way instead of the way they did it, it's cool, and find your way.
Yeah.
But there's always, there's always like something before that we're building on. And it's one of the things I talk about in the book is that we're always in collaboration with everything around us. Like we're never a solo artist. Like the birds are duetting with us right now. We don't have a choice. They're there. They're doing their thing. Yeah.
It's beautiful. I remember when you sent me the PDF like a few months before the book had come out, and I remember I I printed it all out and I like binded it with the spiral bind.
You showed it to me. It was the first time I ever saw a bound copy of the book.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah. So I still have it.
Wow.
Printed out, and that's how I read it. And it's pretty dingy now. I've handed it off to a few friends to read, and it's just been all over the place. And the best thing about the creative act is the idea of closing your eyes. And I don't know if this is how you intend for it to be, but it's worked for me. I've read it front to back, but I also love the concept of just pulling open the book and landing on any page, and it all resonates. It's connected, and it feels chapter to chapter. There's a consistency and a rhythm throughout. There's a proper skeleton and structure throughout, but it also can be picked up wherever. And that feels like, you know, the daily quotes.
It was definitely intentional.
Yeah.
I love a book, there's a Stephen Mitchell translation of the Tao Te Ching, and it's a book of 81 little thoughts. And it's a book that you can randomly pick up and open anywhere. And I thought it'd be really nice if it had that same quality of where it worked front to back, but also worked if you just need a piece of information, see what you get. Every page would have something that would be helpful. It's always good to have any, like, I'll call them references, anything that you can, a mood board to look at when you're working on music, like Frank always uses a mood board, inspire lyrics. Many artists use mood boards, and it can just inspire the feeling. You know, if you have a mood board and then you work on a song and you like the song, but then you look at the mood board and it doesn't fit, it's like, oh, maybe it's not part of this project. It can be an organizing principle. So having things around that you like, that you can pick up and play with, an instrument you don't know how to play, you know, just to kind of make some sounds on, might spark something in your mind.
I love the new, the podcast you're on. I love the whole, you know, tetragram universe that's being built. Can you speak a little bit about the website?
Yeah, the website's a new project that, it's an art project that feels different than a lot of things online. And I'm excited for you to play with it. It starts when you go on it, you get a piece of art, the artwork of the day. So we're normally faced with scrolls of things, just a lot of information. And you get to the website and it's just one image. And it's a great painting from the past. Could be a great piece of sculpture, a great piece of furniture. And you just see the image like as if you walked into a museum and it's there. And you tap on that, and then you learn about that painter and that painting, and it's like a little art class. And then there's a biodynamic calendar after that, which is, it tells you the phase of the moon and what energy happens on the planet because of the phase of the moon, and like, it's a good time to pick flowers, or it's a bad time to plant anything because the energy's wrong. It's just interesting. And the reason I wanted to do that, the biodynamic calendar, was I thought, if I knew those energies every day, if I could read those energies every day and just pay attention to how I was feeling, maybe at some point I'd be able to just feel what that is, like to know today's a bad day to plant something. It's not a productive day. So that's another part of it. And then there's articles, and there's a radio station of all old out-of-print music that you can't hear anyone else. And nothing there in the radio. There's 3 TV stations of just cool, old, weird things, lectures or movies or, but what's interesting about it is nothing is on demand. Today in the online world, everything is on demand. If I want to see, if there's a video I know I want to see, I search for it, I find it, I can watch it. In this experience, you're just exposed to things, you have no choice, and it changes your relationship to it because you know it's fleeting. It's like, if it's interesting to you, you treat it differently. And just an interesting experience, very different than any other internet experience.
I love that. Well,
Cool, man. I love you.
I love you too, man. Thank you. That was incredible.
Lovely.
That was very lovely. I enjoyed that.